Good morning. My name is Jason Horak. It is June 27th, 2012, and today we're going to talk about the 1987 Dodge Daytona electric vehicle and the progress that we've made in the last couple days. As you can see, the motor has been pulled out of the car. We no longer have the motor mount on there and so forth, and so we're kind of free floating in space. The purpose of having the motor out of the car is to do a couple things. One, we're going to be changing these brushes. So these are the original brushes that are in there. It's a little bit hard to make out on the camera, but yeah, you can kind of see what's going on. So those rotate on the commutator and actually touch and rub against it. So these brushes are made out of carbon or some kind of composite, I'm not really sure. But the point is that we've got some new ones right here. These are Helwig brushes that I ordered from EVTV, Jack Rickard and Brian Noto, and they're supposedly going to give me some more range. I'm not really sure if it's going to work, but according to Jack's tests, seems to be the thing to do. Anyway, so as you can see, they're brushes here, and I guess you just pull up on these little springs, and then you stick in the new brush and bolt it down on the tab. And I do have some Nordlock washers that Jack included that should be help to hold everything together and make sure that it doesn't bounce or shake loose from the bolts. Anyway, so that's kind of the one project. The other project is the clutch and the pressure plate and the flywheel. As you can see, we've got some carbon, or I don't know what this is, black yucky stuff that came off of the clutch because the clutch has been slipping and basically burning it up and leaving nice black residue all over everything. So anyway, I'm not really sure what that is, but obviously not so good, and the clutch does slip quite a bit. So I'll be getting that all cleaned up, but this is the original stock flywheel, pressure plate, and clutch that was on the vehicle before. And technically I had bought this particular flywheel, pressure plate, and clutch brand new back in 2009 for the first electric car, and so it's always been on this motor since it came out, or since I bought it anyway. So over here we have the new aluminum flywheel. This is a SPEC brand flywheel. I tried to get one from Fidenza, but they couldn't be bothered to make one apparently. And you had to order 10 in order to get one. So this one, after much pain and suffering and difficulty online, I was able to get this guy, and here it is. So still waiting on the clutch and pressure plate. I ordered a Center Force brand, and that's still hopefully going to ship someday soon is the plan, but I can't seem to get a specific date out of the company I ordered it from, so we're still waiting on that at this point. As you can see, I have a battery set up here. This is so that I can run the motor at 12 volts to do some testing and also to seat the brushes. When you install those new brushes, you want to have them run in for, I think they said 16 hours, kind of at a low speed, running off a single battery kind of thing, just to make sure that they're properly, basically scraped off the edges, so onto the commutator. This kind of leaves a layer on the commutator and allows it to make better contact. So anyway, I'm going to hook this up, and we can hear how loud the motor is right now with the existing brushes, and we'll see how it goes. So we're spinning up to speed here, so it's fairly loud, but not too bad. Try to steady it there, shake it a little bit. Alright. So on the end, we have the magnet that's used for the RPM gauge. It's spinning around there, and in there we can kind of see the brushes rubbing against the commutator. Again, it's a little hard to see on the camera, but try to get the general gist. So over here we have the clutch and flywheel spinning away. And so that kind of gives us a baseline on the noise of how loud this thing is, just as it was before. Alright. So, as you can also see, it spins for quite a long time after I've removed power. And it's still going. So that is one of the things about having such a heavy flywheel, as it does spin for quite a long time. And there we go. So one other thing to note is these little gears along the edge. These are actually used by the starter in a standard gas car to spin this whole assembly to get the motor spinning, to get the motor moving initially. So that's what your starter does. So on this aluminum flywheel, you can see that we actually have some screws here, little what are they? Little hex type things, and so we should be able to remove this whole outside ring, which is of course completely unnecessary on an electric car since we don't have a starter. That should reduce the weight even further, and that would be hopefully of benefit. I'm a little worried about taking it off because I'm not sure if it's going to affect the balance of that unit, and so I'm going to put it in, hook it up to the motor, spin it for a while, make sure that everything seems like it's balanced and isn't shaking apart too bad, and then I'm going to take that ring off the outside and see if it makes a difference as far as the again, the balancing and so forth. I won't be able to really tell if it's balanced properly, likely until I have everything all assembled, but at least this will give me an idea of what's going on. Anyway, let's just take a quick look inside the engine compartment. So this is what it looks like without the motor, and without the, so right there you can see on the left, that's where the motor mounts hook to, and I've got the original power steering pump disconnected, just kind of sitting down in there. I'm going to wait to cut the lines until the very last moment, just so I don't get any contaminants in there when I hook up the new ones. So again, I should be able to do the low pressure lines myself, but the high pressure lines I'm going to have to take it to the shop and have them use their special tools. So yeah, so this is the original transmission. It's an A520, I believe, which is a Chrysler product, and it was made, according to the little tag on top, right there. It's a 520. It was manufactured in 1989, Syracuse, New York, which is about 30 minutes north of here. So that's kind of a cool thing. All of these cables are going to the back battery box. Just kind of to review. Positive on the back battery box, negative on the back battery box, and this is the cable that goes to the charger. So they're pretty beefy cables, but they're only going to be carrying up to like 40 amps during charging, so they don't need to be as large as the other high voltage cables. The rest of these guys, these are actually for what hooks to the soliton. There's the two of them here. To the soliton, and then these last two are what goes to the motor. So again, that is the entire high voltage wiring, is two cables coming in for the batteries, going into the soliton, and into the motor. So the soliton sits back here. This is the back of it now, on the little mounting bracket, and yeah, it's relatively straightforward. So that is the engine compartment as of June 27th, 2012. And over here we have our DC-to-DC converter and battery and so forth. And then this little guy is the new Chennic DC-to-DC converter that I ordered from Jack and Brian at EVTV. And it's going to be hard to make out on the camera, but it's 192 volt nominal, and that should be perfect for my my application. As you can see, Jack has added these little components on here. I believe one is a diode and one is a capacitor. I'll have to review the EVTV episode to find out exactly what they're doing. There's a fuse in this little cylinder. This is the fuse that on my previous Chennic kept blowing all the time, but hopefully with this setup it won't be blowing. So anyway, he's labeled them very nicely, so we know that this hooks to the 192 volt negative, 192 volt positive, which is the pack. In my case, is about 199 fully charged, but that's well within the range. And then these are the low voltage outputs, 13.8 volt DC, negative and positive. So anyway, so I'll be hooking that up in place of this larger unit, which should be nice because it will be a smaller fit. Just kind of set it in there so you get an idea. So it will take up less space. It has no fan, no moving parts. It can get wet, and we don't worry about it having a problem. This also means that I'll be able to remove these guys, which are the two contactors that control this unit, and that will be nice. I'll probably leave the battery in for right now, and just treat this new DC-to-DC converter as an alternator. I'd considered removing the battery entirely, but I kind of like having it in there as a backup, and it doesn't make any noise, so that works for me. Anyway, now over here we have the plate for the motor mount plate for the tail shaft of the motor. And so that the one on the left is the original one, and it had that big extension on there to mount the power steering pump and all that good stuff. And then it had that extra fin on the front, which I was thinking about maybe using as a air conditioning compressor mounting point, but I decided that wasn't going to work. And just going to take up extra room and be more complexity that I wanted to deal with. So this is the new one, and so the new one is much smaller, and it should bypass all of where the new battery box is going to go quite handily, and yet still be secure. The angle toward the back of it is so that it will clear the drive shaft, because when it gets in there, it kind of gets in the way of the drive shaft and stuff. I'll take some video of that later when I put it in. I also, just for fun, took the mounting bracket and painted it with good old hammered black Rust-Oleum. So paint it black and it'll disappear, as Jack and Brian say. Kind of cool. It makes it look nice. This is the front mounting bracket that goes hooks up to the transmission. Kind of goes this way in the car. And this particular unit, again, it's the original from 1987. Had a little surface rust on it, so I got it all painted up to make it look nice. So anyway, that's about it for today. Just wanted to kind of give you an update of what's going on, and there's so much more to do, but it's always an adventure. Anyway, this is Jason Horak, June 27th, 2012. Have a nice day.